Hello, my beautiful earthling peeps out there. I have decided to go ahead and make a video. It's a nighttime video, of course. And the reason I'm doing this now is, well, I got all made up, ready to go out to a CE5 event tonight. And guess what? I was on my way there and found out that the host had canceled the event. Unfortunately, woken up sick this morning and so had to cancel it, but I had not checked my messages and had not realized, so I turned around and came back, and it is what it is. This is life. So before I get started on my little talk today, if you're new to my channel and you find you really like my videos, please, if you can subscribe and hit that little like button for me, it really helps for my videos to get out there with the algorithm and spreading the messages that I feel I have been guided to give through my channeling, right? And sometimes it's not always channeling. Sometimes I'm doing singing light language, although that's a type of channeling itself, right? And sometimes I just want to talk. So this today actually is something partly from stuff I've channeled, but also just wanting to talk a minute here, because I feel like, especially now, a lot of people are waking up and they're having this same feeling, this same longing, this same like, oh my gosh, there's just this, yearning, that feeling like there's this big part, an empty space in their heart that's missing, right? And a lot of us that have suddenly found this connection with our star people, star families out there, and that we realize that, this is, how do I put it? It feels like it's the missing piece, right? It's that link. And it feels like that we want to connect so badly because it feels like this is what's been missing all this time. So I totally get it. And in fact, remember when I've talked about before having soul memories, right? Soul memories are memories that we've had maybe from previous lives, and they are like little fragments that attach, they're attached to your soul, but you can't consciously remember these past lives. I mean, every now and then we come across some extraordinary child or someone who, has full memories of like a child who remembers being on the Titanic or fighting in a war or something, being a soldier in a war, and it's just like mind blowing, right? And, but most of us, we can't. So we come across things in our lives that feel familiar, right? And I also believe, from what I've been told through channeling and that, so this is why I strongly believe it, because I know I'm not the only one who has channeled this same message, that we don't do strictly just, remember, there are all different species, right, in the universe and that, and we assume when we think of past lives that every past life of ours was a human life. And that's probably because the ones that are going to be more familiar to us are going to be what we've always known here. So, of course, those past lives are the ones that we are going to remember, not remember, but there will be this more familiarity with it. So you might, like I was telling you before, if you see my other video, people that you'll dream about are people that you knew in another life. Like you'll be like, oh my gosh, you know, in the dream you're like you just like knew them forever, you know. Oh yeah, that's so and so, right? When you wake up, you're like, I've never seen these people before in my life, you know. You are correct, and in two ways, and that is you have never seen those people before in this life, okay? And when you say that, but yet they feel so familiar, it's because, or I mean, they felt so familiar when, you know, when you were dreaming, it's because that was your soul memory. That was your soul memory coming through, right? And remembering who you were in another life and remembering these people, okay? So, anyways, getting back to this thing about longing and that, I think that a lot of people, this is probably where that familiarity comes in, where like you like look up at the sky and that, right? And you're looking at the stars and you're thinking about, you know, life beyond this planet and what's out there, and it's just driving you crazy, and you know, you just have this deep sense of that you need to know, because for some reason something there, something just feels like there's some kind of piece that's missing, right? And that's because most of us have probably had some sort of life where we weren't a human, but we were an extraterrestrial. So that is one thing I wanted to tell you. And another was to go into this point. Somebody had said to me in, I think it was in one of the comments on one of my videos, and saying that it made them, when they had an encounter with ETs and that, right? And not everybody's going to have like in your face encounters, okay? That's a lot more rare, right? Most of us, it's, you know, maybe little things, because ETs tend to be a lot more subtle than like say human spirits and stuff like that. ETs are kind of more like in the background a lot of times, and that the benevolent ones. Now, if they're dark, that's a different story, but benevolent ones, why? Because they don't want to be a distraction from whatever your mission is here. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, they don't want to let you know at all, but they're more subtle, you know, a lot of times. But, you know, there are those who've had more kind of in your face kind of thing. Of course, I've had stuff really up front, but you know, because I've been in paralysis and I could see them, right? But for most people, it's, you know, a lot of people are like, I'll even see people and be like, oh, I don't think I've ever had, you know, I've never had an experience in that. At least they think they've never had an experience, because again, the extraterrestrials are a lot more subtle. Okay, they're not going to be like, you know, very few actually experience. So it's like, okay, boom, yeah, that was definitely an ET, right? So, but if they were to kind of look back into their past and think about things, or things that they might have thought was a human spirit and might not have been, because sometimes too, the thing is that now, of course, you have your human-looking ETs and that, but like the ones that are not humanoid, that aren't human-looking and that, a lot of times will appear as human, okay? And you could have had an experience with one and thinking it was a ghost when it might have actually been an ET. Think about that. So, but the last thing I want to get to was about what this one person said in their comments, and they said, you know, their experience with them made them, they were just so emotional and that. And I could totally relate to that, because every now and then I'll have this feeling of just like this aching, this missing. It's like a homesick feeling, okay? And that is because I believe it is the missing link that we all have to possibly our other life or other selves in that life. And that's why it means so much. And that's why I always call it my star family, my star brothers and sisters out there. At least this is how I see it. So anyways, this was just a quick little video, and I hope everybody who's watching this, you guys have a beautiful, amazing, wonderful day, night, wherever you are out there in the world. And I send you light, love, peace, joy, and happiness, and just have a wonderful holiday season. If I don't make any more videos between now and then, because as you know, the holidays, everything's hectic right now, and I got a lot going on too, just like all of you. So, but anyways, you guys, just take care of yourselves, drive careful, especially if you're gonna be traveling for the holidays and that, and just know that you are loved, okay? We all need to hear it, right? Especially with the chaos in this world. All right, bye. I can't get my words out. All right, guys, take care. Bye.